In this last episode of 2022, we talk about Scotland and Ukraine take huge steps forward while Russia continues to march backward.
George Santos is a lying liar who lies and unfit to hold office, which evidently makes him a perfect fit with today's Republican Party.
BetterHelp is apparently anything but we have an alternative.
A Michigan librarian has had it with the non-reading mobs and their ugliness, and she let them know it.
Welcome to Full Circle, the podcast.
Coming to you from the dining room table at East Barbary Lane, welcome to another episode of Full Circle, the podcast. A weekly visit to our home where we squeeze a few headlines through our decidedly queer lens and see what happens. This episode is brought to you by decanted jug wine, Christmas jammies, and a functioning furnace working overtime this week.
I am your host, Charles Tyson Jr.
And I'm your host, Martha Madrigal. Welcome to the Full Circle table. Hey.
Hi, baby.
Do you know how many of our friends have posted, like, they're having furnace issues this week?
Really?
I went downstairs and changed her filter and, like, you know.
Oh, just on
gave
general
her
principle?
Encouragement. Yeah, just like,
woo,
Yeah,
woo,
no.
woo, baby. Woo,
no,
woo,
no,
woo.
Three different people
That's crazy.
had, like, on like around Christmas Eve and day and stuff, and like, cold.
Because it's been
cold.
ridiculously cold.
Mm-hmm.
Like the highest I've seen it lately has been 10.
Something like that.
10.
It's insane. Yeah, it's really cold outside.
Yeah.
But it's been nice and warm, and we've had the fireplace, and the heater is, running.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the heater's,
Knockety, knock.
our heater's pretty new.
Yeah.
Thankfully. But, yeah. And that's when your heater breaks, just like that's when your air conditioner breaks.
Right.
Your air conditioner doesn't break when it's, 80. It's when it's 105 outside or something.
Right.
And likewise, heaters are working overtime.
That would be horrible.
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about it no more.
Right. So, it's cold here. It's been cold here. We've had a whole cold snap for Christmas. We had a dusting of snow.
We did, and it was very pretty.
Yeah, so it was like sort of a white Christmas if you looked fast-ish.
Right.
I mean, it's still like on the ground over. No, maybe that's road salt. Anyway, there's white over there, but that might be salt.
Actually, you can point it anywhere in this area. You can say there's white over
Yeah,
there.
but there was this little gentle coating on the bushes and stuff for like Christmas Eve morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
It was lovely.
Yeah, but we didn't have impeded driving for Christmas Day, so.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, yeah. We had a lovely, lovely, lovely Christmas dinner.
We did.
And I got a Barbie for Christmas.
Yes, you did.
I got a collector Barbie.
Yes, you did.
It's my first, gifted Barbie. Like, new in a package and stuff.
Right. And it's a Lucy Barbie.
It only took 50 years. It's an I Love Lucy collector Barbie, so it has layers.
Right. So there was like a whole bunch of different reasons why that was special for you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And you were allegedly giving me a clean kitchen ceiling for Christmas.
Not allegedly.
All right, well, you'll get to, we had day one.
Yes, and after we finish recording will be day 2.
So the thing about this house is that my parents loved wallpaper, and every room had wallpaper. And when I was little, we used to wallpaper the ceilings. I mean, not even so little, but because I remember doing it when I was old enough to help, and it's a hideous job. And so is removing wallpaper from the ceiling. And so at some point in life, after I had learned how to wallpaper and was the one primarily doing the job, I said, we're never putting wallpaper on the ceilings again, and we started painting them. And my father had a rule about you never ever paint over wallpaper. You have to remove it.
I understand why.
Yeah, except apparently we found out he broke his own rule. And I don't even know how this slipped past me, but he painted over wallpaper in the kitchen. And so, almost 2 years ago when we started trying to repaint the kitchen, I noticed, I thought it was going to be a real quick job. Like, it looked fine. And then I noticed a seam kind of right by the light, and I just tugged at it a little bit, and a chunk of wallpaper came off, and I was like, oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more we examined it, the more there were dry, loose spots, and it's like, this is never even going to hold paint, right? And so started the odyssey that is scraping through probably 2 layers of paint to get to the paper.
Right.
What a mess. So we've had 3/4 of it done for a long time, and life got in the way. And so for Christmas, yay, you are finally finishing scraping the ceiling.
I am.
And then we can paint it and put up our new 2-year-old ceiling fan.
Right.
and finish painting the kitchen. So that's our Christmas.
You're getting a
yeah. I'm like, I don't want anything but that. That's what I want. I want that.
And I'm like, all right, I can do that.
I want labor for Christmas because I can't do it anymore. I can't work overhead like that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It all went to my tits.
It's not.
all the upper body strength I had. There it is in front. That's weird.
I mean,
but I can't, because you got to hold the steamer plate. We do have a steamer. And then you've also got to scrape, and you got to scrape pretty arduously because, yeah. So
I know,
right. So I can't even but it's like it's not even because I think I tried to help with that. Like I can do it on the walls, but I can't do it overhead.
Yeah, the walls are one thing.
I can't do it overhead. So it was like, I can't even be, I can't even get pissy about it. I'll do it myself. I can't do that because I tried. Anyway.
Shall I get through the podcast business?
You probably should.
Okay. So for the last time in 2022, if you haven't yet, please take the time to rate and review and subscribe to us on all the places that you get your podcasts. We would appreciate it ever so much. Drop us a line at askfullcirclepod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on our social, Full Circle Pod on Twitter, Full Circle the Pod on Instagram, Full Circle the Podcast on TikTok. Follow Martha everywhere on social at iMartha Madrigal. Her writing is at iammarthamadrigal.wordpress.com. I am never scared everywhere. And, for this holiday season, it would be a wonderful gift to us if you would become a patron on our Patreon, patreon.com/fullcirclethepod. And then you can also enjoy us over on our Discord channel. It's fun over here. Come check it out. All the cool kids are doing it. Podcast business over.
Yeah. So, have you made any New Year's resolutions?
I'm
afraid. It's been such a shit show since 2020. I'm afraid. I think we should just walk gingerly into this new year. And
I don't do resolutions, but what I do,
I used to,
and have always, I did too. But what I've been doing and what I will continue to do is just practicing gratitude.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, every night before I go to bed, I express the things that I am grateful for. First and foremost is always you and our life together and our home and our friends and our family and all the wonderful opportunities that have been coming our way and that will continue to come our way. I express gratitude for that every day because if you are grateful, the universe gives you things to be grateful for. That's what I
Well
noticed.
said.
Thank you.
Well said. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. We thought about doing a year in review. Maybe we'll do that in January. It was like
yeah. Or wait until 2023 rolls around to 2024, because then we'll have actually had a whole year.
We will have had, right, March 1st is our birthday.
Yes.
This is episode 53, I think.
Right. Or there you go. We could do it in March. Do a year in review.
We could.
Because that'll actually have been a year.
We could. Do whatever we want.
Exactly. It's a free country.
Yes.
For
at the moment.
So they tell me.
At the moment, we haven't begun to do the cavalcade for this week, but yeah, sure. In theory, it is in fact a free country.
Yes.
Yeah. Christmas is hard for a lot of folks in our respective and intersecting communities, and so it's always a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Some of y'all could not handle my DMs this month. I'll just say that.
That part.
I can barely handle my DMs this month. But we lived through it. We survived. We are recording on Tuesday, December 27th. We have the Panto is out and about. It's been broadcast twice.
That was interesting.
We both got to listen to it together on Christmas Day.
Yes.
It is interesting. It makes a little tiny bit more sense now that you can hear the whole thing at once. Because we actually recorded it in 2 separate sessions.
As much sense as that can make, yes.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was
fun, fun to do. It was fun.
It was.
I appreciate being included with the Medway Pride gang.
Hey, Medway Pride.
Hey, Medway Pride. And we're broadcasting. Well, our show is on tonight. So.
Oh, that's right. It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
2 days. Merry 2 days after Christmas.
Yeah, so we got that shit behind us. Most of us survived it. Some of us did not. And unfortunately, that's where we are. So, I want to start with good news because that's how we do this.
Yes, let's do that.
And there is good news. There is good news this week. Scotland passed a sweeping gender recognition reform in a tremendous step forward for trans rights.
Yeah, tell me about that, because I've been hearing about it.
Trans folk in Scotland will face fewer barriers to legal recognition after the Scottish Parliament voted through its gender recognition reform bill. The bill passed 86-39, and it will reform the Gender Recognition Act for Scottish trans people, allowing them to gain legal recognition without the need for a medical diagnosis. When it is enacted, trans folk in Scotland will be able to gain a gender recognition certificate through a system of self-declaration and will not have to submit any medical evidence or proof that they lived as their true gender. Good.
So it sounds like Scotland is listening to their citizens.
Yeah, how about that? Well, yeah, the ones who know what they're talking about anyway. Stonewall Director of Nations, Colin McFarlane, called the bill's passing a tremendous step forward for trans rights and for LGBTQ plus people in Scotland. They are now in line with international best practice and once again established Scotland as a world leader on human rights, making a small change which brings dignity to trans people who deserve to be legally recognized for who they are. That was a quote.
Go ahead, Scotland.
He went on to say the UK government must now follow and introduce legislation to ensure that trans people UK-wide have access to the same standards of human rights. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, really.
It did face, of course, stiff opposition from Scottish Tories, who tabled multiple amendments during the bill's final stages in an attempt to delay passing. Those who tried to delay the bill at every step of the way behaved shamelessly. Of course they did. Mm-hmm. It kept going and then went to a vote, and it passed its first vote on October 27th. See, as the law currently stands, trans folk have to apply to a gender recognition panel and present reports and a diagnosis of gender dysphoria. And it's a process that can take years, given the wait time at the NHS gender clinics. For those in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, there is no sight of change on the horizon under the Tories. But Scotland decided to take matters into their own hands.
As they are wont to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nicola Sturgeon, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, said she will never apologize for trying to spread equality, removing the need for medical diagnosis for a trans person who wants to legally change their gender is one of the purposes of this legislation, because this is one of the most traumatic and dehumanizing parts of the current system. As a woman, I know what it's like to live with the fear at times of potential violence from men. I'm a feminist, and I will do everything that I can to protect women's rights for as long as I live. But I also think it's an important part of my responsibility to make life a little bit easier for stigmatized minorities in our country, to make their lives a bit better, and remove some of the trauma they live with on a day-to-day basis. It's important to do that for the teeny minority, which is true, of trans people in our society, and I will never apologize. Trying to spread equality, not reduce it. Yeah, this is cool stuff. And then,
Oh, yeah.
did you see the part where this deranged protester decided to flash Parliament during the vote?
This is actually how I heard about it at all.
Apparently this freak was wearing a merkin, but what the hell?
I didn't even understand.
An anti-trans protester lifted her skirt and flashed Scottish Parliament with a fake vagina as the legislators passed the law. Whew. They're unhinged. They're just unhinged.
That's the nicest word I can think of to
I
describe
know. She stood up screaming, "This Parliament will not respect the rights of women." The rights of women. Honey, then you have no decency. And if you will not be decent toward women who are being raped right now in jails, then you're in charge of. If you will not be decent, then I will be indecent. At that, she lifted her skirt. "You terrible, terrible people," she said. It makes your thinky spot hurt, doesn't it?
It does.
Just the whole thing.
It really does.
It's like, what? What?
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, of course, in October, JK posted a photo of herself wearing a t-shirt calling the First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, a destroyer of women's rights.
Those are all words.
Sturgeon did directly respond to Rowling, saying that she fundamentally disagreed that the bill would harm women. This is about an existing process by which people can legally change their gender, and it's about making that process less traumatic and inhumane for trans people, one of the most stigmatized minorities in our society. Oh, hear, hear, honey. It doesn't give trans people any more rights, nor does it take away from women any of the current existing rights under the Equality Act.
That part.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. It's good news. Yay, Scotland.
Yay, Scotland.
I love sanity.
I do love the Scottish people.
I don't know if you saw, Ukraine passed an LGBTQ plus hate speech ban, which is another big step for equality on December 22nd.
Come on, Ukraine.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got listeners in Ukraine.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
We are with you, God. The legislation banning hate speech and incitement based on sexual orientation and gender identity was unanimously approved on December 15th. It's a big step for Ukraine to start adoption of our legislation to European values, Olena Shevchenko, chair of the Ukrainian LGBTQ rights group.
Shevchenko.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Told the Washington Blade, "We hope our government will recognize LGBTQI people as equal as soon as possible." The bill comes after the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, confirmed that he will ask Ukraine's government to look into legalizing same-sex marriage after the war on Russia ends. They can't change their constitution
During wartime.
During wartime.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, they are looking forward to brighter days when they can.
There you go.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
That is good stuff.
Yeah. This historic promise, this is a queer journalist, said, "This historic promise is not a gift or twist of fate. Years of hard work by queer Ukrainians putting our lives on the line for equal rights made it possible. Tens of thousands of queer Ukrainians defending our country in this genocide made it possible. Now it is also up to us, queer Ukrainians, to make sure that a historic commitment results in historic action. And rest assured, we will make it done. Because that's what Ukrainian civil society is all about." Yay.
Yay.
And of course, Russia keeps moving backwards as the Ukraine moves forward. Shocking. I know.
Right, yeah.
So,
this was a refreshing story. A federal appeals court tosses an anti-trans lawsuit over school sports. Hallelujah. A federal appeals court on Friday threw out a case brought by 4 cisgender high school students in Connecticut who claimed the state's trans-inclusive sports policy violated their civil rights and deprived them of a, quote, chance to be champions.
which is such complete backward, utter horseshit.
Exactly.
But hey, that's what we do.
A federal district court judge dismissed the case in April 2021, saying the girls' request to block the policy was moot because the 2 transgender athletes mentioned in the suit graduated in 2020, and there was no indication that the plaintiffs would again compete against trans athletes in the state.
Mm-hmm.
The district court also said the plaintiffs lacked the procedural threshold known as standing needed to bring the suit.
Yeah, they did.
And in this most recent ruling, a 3-judge panel of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed the lower court's decision, writing in a scathing 29-page ruling that the plaintiffs claim that the Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference's policy put them at a competitive disadvantage. They said that it was unfounded. Quote, all 4 plaintiffs regularly competed at state track championships as high school athletes where plaintiffs had the opportunity to compete for state titles in different events. And on numerous occasions, plaintiffs were indeed, quote, champions, finishing first in various events, even sometimes when competing against the 2 aforementioned trans athletes.
Right. So they were winning, but they didn't feel like they were winning because they didn't completely remove the dignity of the 2 trans athletes.
That part.
So they went to court.
That part. The panel wrote, plaintiffs simply have not been deprived of a chance to be champions.
Good.
And of course, the Alliance Defending Freedom, which is the conservative nonprofit that's representing the plaintiffs, said that they're going to be evaluating all legal options, including appeal. Of course they are. Because, you know, they got to stamp their feet and get their way. But they won't because logic.
Well, we hope not.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that's the thing. You were actually winning. You actually beat the trans athletes in question.
Yeah, but that wasn't good enough.
But it wasn't good enough because they still exist.
They still exist. Yeah.
So
yeah, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So fuck
good.
y'all.
Good.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad that happened.
Oh, me too. The Connecticut lawsuit was unique in that it represented a rare instance in which a trans-inclusive sports policy was challenged by cisgender athletes. The legal battles around the issue have largely been brought by LGBTQ advocates who have in recent years had some limited success in fighting the bans, including last year when a federal judge temporarily blocked West Virginia's enforcement of its anti-trans sports ban. Today's ruling is a critical victory for fairness, equality, and inclusion, said Joshua Block, an ACLU attorney who defended the Connecticut policy in court. The court rejected the baseless zero-sum arguments presented by the opposition to this policy and ultimately found trans girls have as much a right to play as cis girls under Title IX.
Damn it.
And they do.
Exactly.
Block added in a statement to CNN that the ACLU hopes the decision finally puts this case to rest and allows everyone involved to move on with their lives. They won't, but that would be nice.
Right.
Good.
Exactly.
Good.
So this is some good news. Massachusetts' Maura Healey.
Massachusetts. Uh-huh.
They put an extra apostrophe S.
Okay.
Maura Healey is the first lesbian governor.
Oh, she will be, right?
Well, governor-elect, yeah.
She's the governor-elect.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Massachusetts has a history of...
Massachusetts is about to get shit done.
Exactly. They have a history of electing LGBT firsts in their political realm.
Cool.
Because Congressman Jerry Studs became the first out member of Congress. Of course, he was forced to out himself, but that's a whole other thing. Barney Frank became the second out member of Congress, but the first to voluntarily come out. To make that distinction.
I believe there's a story there too, but
With Barney Frank?
Yeah, I think he was urged in some way, but cool.
Which tracks considering the time period.
Yeah, as I recall.
In 2014, Healey was elected the state's attorney general, which is another first.
Mm-hmm.
And now she is the first lesbian governor-elect in the U.S., apparently followed within mere hours by Oregon's governor-elect Tina Kotek, which is like,
right.
I love that kind of race.
Yeah, don't forget Massachusetts in 2004 was the first state in the union to legalize same-sex marriage.
Yes.
Yep.
Massachusetts got it going on. That's a sentence I never thought I'd hear myself say.
Hey.
Work. I love it. When Healey was called to the microphone to deliver her acceptance speech, she spoke about what her victory meant. She said, "Tonight, I want to say something to every little girl and every LGBTQ person out there. I hope tonight shows you that you can be whatever, whoever you want to be." She will be sworn in on January 5th, 2023. Kotek in Oregon will be inaugurated 4 days later. And I think that is wonderful.
It is wonderful. It is wonderful.
She said, "While I'm honored to be the first lesbian governor, I just wish it hadn't taken so long, and I sure hope that I'm not the last."
Yep. If you have the stomach for politics, run for office. If you've ever been so inclined, folks, do it.
Exactly, because we need as many of us in the conversation as possible.
Yeah. She played basketball in her undergrad days at Harvard and then professionally in Australia.
Yeah.
And, she offered comment on Brittany Griner. I am just so relieved that she is back home. I was heartsick about the situation and what she was subjected to. It's just so awful. And as a basketball fan, I'm looking forward to her returning to the WNBA. I also think it's important to remember that here at home we deal with our own anti-LGBTQ forces and the efforts of some to take us backward. Those who go after trans kids or those who are homophobic and discriminate against our community. But having Brittany back is certainly great news in a year where there hasn't been that much.
I know that's right.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Congratulations.
And good for Massachusetts.
Right. And now I've got that damn song in my head. The spirit of Massachusetts is the spirit of America. It's in my head now. You don't remember that?
I don't.
The tourism commercial for Massachusetts?
I do not.
I don't know how you managed to miss that, but good for you, I guess.
That's... I don't, yeah.
So this was an interesting story.
Okay.
So Chaz Stevens, who is the head of the Humanity Fund, an advocacy group that champions separation of church and state, free speech, and constitutional equality, designed a Festivus poll. Initially, this was in response to in various state capitals how they can display Christmas displays and things like that. And it's like, well, if we really are separated between church and state, then you have to be able to display everything. So he petitioned for a Festivus poll, and he was totally expecting to be shot down, but he was given the permission. And so his Festivus poll is designed in rainbow pride colors with a disco ball up top, and he made a point of taking it to be displayed in Republican-dominated states, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Florida, Georgia, Michigan, as a protest against what he views as their support for laws respecting an establishment of religion.
Good.
And this guy is a straight dude, which I think is notable.
Fun.
Because, he says that it's a much bigger argument and it's basically all of us or none of us. He said, when asked, why did you choose a gay pride theme this year? He said, I am a privileged white heterosexual male in America, a lifelong ally of the gay community. Some of my best friends are very homosexual, very out and proud.
Very homosexual.
Right. And we know what that means.
We do.
Very out and proud, and I love them to death. And we all cheered when the Supreme Court ruling reaffirming the rights of same-sex couples to marry came through. We thought, finally, it's about goddamn time. Then right around the corner, Kim Davis and her crazy people in Kentucky say, we're not going to give marriage licenses. Mm-hmm. He said, that just drove me nuts. The very day that happened, I said to myself, those little fuckers, I can hear it. I am going to troll the living shit out of them. I'm going to wrap my pole in gay pride and put a disco ball on the top and stick it in the bowels of the Florida Rotunda. Phrasing.
Phrasing. I think that might have been intentional.
I'm sure it was. Slate in the Slate interview, they said, but you're targeting more than just Florida, right? And he says, myself and my civil rights lawyer decided, why not go on the road? I thought we can take our trolling to an elite level. Let's go to Arkansas. That's where Huckabee is. Let's wag this thing in front of Huckabee's face and see if we can get him to react. Again, phrasing. Let's go to Texas and wave this in front of Ted Cruz. New Jersey, Christie. Florida, well, I had those knuckleheads covered. I said, let's go troll the living shit out of them. You know what? If you're going to be a troll, put your energy in the right direction, and I can't say I'm not going to get behind you.
Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to redress grievances, freedom to yell at the government and not get arrested. That's what this is about.
Exactly. Now, apparently, he's gotten not just pushback, but straight up threats.
Yeah.
He said he's gotten threats and lawsuits. He said, I got shot at. Somebody said they'd cut my head off. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, I'm going to blind you with a soldering iron and torture you for 2 days. His dog got poisoned. It's like, God damn.
Yeah, they poisoned his dog. Sounds like Christian love to me.
You know?
That's what it looks like from over here, folks.
My goodness.
Oh, my. They get and we're the snowflakes. That's the part I love.
Exactly.
Like, but
my God.
You know, why not? And the disco ball really is a lovely touch at the top.
Right.
So seems we can't talk about Florida without talking about Texas. But from reading from The Advocate, Texas school district that removed LGBTQ plus books faces a federal probe.
Aww.
The U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights is opening an investigation into Gransbury Independent School District in Texas after the superintendent ordered that school libraries remove any books dealing with LGBTQ plus topics.
Mm-hmm.
Superintendent Jeremy Glenn in January met with district librarians and directed them to remove the books. I acknowledge, fuckhead. I acknowledge that there are men that think they're women, and there are women who think they're men that think they're men. He said at the meeting, according to a joint investigation by the Texas Tribune, NBC News, and ProPublica. I don't have any issue with what people want to believe, but there's no place for it in our libraries.
So he doesn't know anything
Yeah,
about...
listen to that again slowly.
Right.
I have no issues with what people want to believe. That's Christianity right there. But there's no place for it in our fucking libraries.
Which is supposed
I'm all for the free exchange of ideas, so long as they're not ideas I don't like.
Right.
Yeah. 130 titles were taken off of library shelves. Later, a committee voted to return most of them. But Glenn had nonetheless created a hostile environment for LGBTQ plus students. According to the ACLU of Texas, which filed a complaint with the Education Department in July. This month, the department announced that its Office for Civil Rights would begin investigating the district, which is located near Fort Worth, for possible violation of Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972, a federal law banning sex discrimination in education. Discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity falls under the definition of sex discrimination, department officials say. And schools that receive federal funds, as most do, are subject to Title IX. This appears to be the first such investigation explicitly tied to this nationwide movement to ban school library books dealing with sexuality and gender, according to the Tribune. If they find students' rights have been violated, which they clearly have, the agency can require the district to make policy changes and submit to federal monitoring. Good. That's what, unfortunately, that's what we need.
Get them.
That's what we need. We need adults in the room.
Thank you, damn it. Get them.
The ACLU of Texas welcomed the move. Public school districts cannot discriminate against students on the basis of sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation. By choosing to open this investigation in response to our complaint, the federal government is signaling that remedying discrimination against LGBTQIA plus students is a top priority and that school districts cannot deny students the rights to be themselves in school, be it through book bans, discriminatory comments, or other harmful policies. Good.
Yep. Take all this shit down. Take it.
Right?
Oh, so Barbados has officially decriminalized gay sex.
Right.
Well, that's cool.
Well, there's the sub-headline says the ruling was part of a tidal wave of Caribbean nations advancing queer rights.
Which is amazing considering how historically homophobic a good deal of Caribbean nations have been.
Yes. What they officially did was strike down two colonial era laws, one of which said men found guilty of having consensual gay sex could get life in prison. The other allowed both men and women to be sentenced for up to 10 years. The laws were almost never utilized, but they nonetheless symbolized a lack of equality. The striking down of the laws reverses that, and overnight tells the entire society that this is consensual contact and that what people choose to do with their private relationships is not the business of the law. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Barbados is the third Caribbean country to decriminalize gay sex this year. The first two were Antigua and Barbuda. Same court.
Fabulous.
Yeah, Judge Trevor Ward wrote in the decision, the absolute nature of the prohibition created by sections 56 and 57 are not reasonably justified in a democratic society and circumstances where they proscribe sexual acts between consenting adults in private, which involve no element of public conduct or harm to, or sexual acts with minors. Yeah.
Which, should be an across-the-board thing.
Yeah. So it's good. It's in good news. It's, making the Caribbean a little safer for all of us.
Exactly.
Yay.
And now it's time to get into our newest segment, which we affectionately refer to as
Silent Broiler, people taking pleasure in your pain.
Oh, this fucking story.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll bring up the rear on this one, as it were. But yeah, this ass hat. First of all, beware of gay Republicans. Always. Like, tread lightly. Assume, because you were dealing with, generally speaking, a very self-loathing person.
Right.
Talk about adopting the politics of your oppressors.
My God.
So, yeah, let's talk about this jackass, George Santos.
Yes, a gay MAGA congressman-elect.
Maybe he's gay. I mean, the MAGA thing is the only thing that's certain right now.
Exactly.
And the fact that he is a congressperson-elect, but it seems like everything else he has said
has been a lie.
All of it.
My theory is that he's not even human. He's like 7 cats stacked on top of one another in a trench coat, because everything he says about himself is a lie.
I thought you liked cats.
I do.
Yeah, he has.
Raccoons.
So far, we know he made up a college education, a job history, a charity, and told lies about the Pulse shooting as well.
Yeah, he's told a series of egregious lies.
Yeah, the election of this asshat, who really shouldn't be allowed to be sworn in given all of this, did help to secure the slim majority in the House. The New York Times, thankfully, did an investigation. Go ahead. Have fun.
So he claims to have graduated from, Baruch College?
I think so.
In 2010, but the New York school could find no records of Santos attending.
Of course.
His biography on the National Republican Congressional Committee includes mention of his having attended NYU. NYU could find no record of his attending.
Yeah, he walked past it one day.
Santos also claimed to have worked for Citigroup and Goldman Sachs after graduating. Neither Wall Street firm has any record of his working there.
What do you know about that?
Friends of Pets, a charity that Santos claims to have founded in 2013, also appears to be bogus. The IRS found no records of that organization holding a tax-exempt status. Neither the New York nor New Jersey Attorney General's offices found records of the organization being registered as a charity. The intended beneficiary of a 2017 fundraiser thrown by Santos said they never received any funds from the event. Let's see. Harbor City Capital, a Florida-based investment company where Santos was regional director during his unsuccessful 2020 campaign for Congress, was accused by the SEC of running a $17 million Ponzi scheme. That at least happened. According to the Times, Santos was not named in the SEC's lawsuit against the company, and he has denied knowledge of the scheme.
How do we know what he knows?
Exactly.
Because he knows a lot of things that aren't true.
Apparently, we also know for a fact that he has been twice evicted for non-payment of rent, once in 2015 and again in 2017. He claims that he and his family own 13 rental properties, but only one apartment in Rio de Janeiro was listed on his financial disclosure forms. Let's see.
Yeah, property records in New York City and Nassau County show no documents or deeds associated with him, his family, or his family firm, the DeVolder organization.
Right. Which, despite having reported $750,000 in salary and over $1 million in dividends from that company, Santo listed no DeVolder organization clients in his congressional financial disclosure.
Right. This report raises red flags because no clients are reported for a multi-million-dollar client services company.
That part.
Kedrick Payne, the vice president of the Watchdog Campaign Legal Center, former deputy chief counsel for the Office of Congressional Ethics, told The Times the congressman-elect should explain what's going on. The Times also revealed that in 2008, Santos stole a checkbook from a man his mother was caring for while she was working as a nurse in Brazil. He later confessed to using the checkbook to purchase shoes and was charged with the crime. Brazilian prosecutors say the case remains unresolved, as Santos never responded to an official court summons. In a November interview, Santos also claimed that his company had lost 4 employees in the Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting. The Times found no evidence of any of the 49 victims of that tragedy ever having worked at any of Santos' companies.
He's disgusting.
Yeah. He said that abortion is as barbaric as slavery and has voiced support for Florida's Don't Say Gay law. He had previously supported Donald Trump, echoing the former resident's lies about the 2020 election.
He was also at January 6th.
He attended the rally and was caught on video saying he wrote a nice check to help cover the legal fees of some of the rioters. Earlier this month,
was it his checkbook?
He attended a Manhattan gala alongside white nationalists and far-right conspiracy theorists. Yeah.
And if that wasn't enough...
That's one of your new congressional representatives, folks.
If that wasn't enough, he also claimed
that... Oh, I love this.
that his grandparents survived the Holocaust.
He did say that. As
Ukrainian Jewish refugees from Belgium, who then changed their surname to survive. So CNN's K-File, which includes family trees compiled by genealogy websites, records on Jewish refugees, and interviews with multiple genealogists, contradict all of those claims. Santos, who has called himself, quote, half Jewish and a, quote, Latino Jew in media appearances, has claimed his maternal grandfather was originally from Ukraine and fled to Brazil to escape Nazism. In another telling, the New York Republican said his grandparents converted to Catholicism during the rise of Nazism in Belgium after fleeing Joseph Stalin and the Soviet Union. In another telling, he claimed his family changed their name to survive Nazism. Now, apparently there is no sign of Jewish and or Ukrainian heritage, no indication of name changes.
Right, and that's coming from a noted genealogist. Yeah. I'm very proud of my Jewish heritage, he said in an appearance from late November with the Jewish News Syndicate.
Both of these grandparents were born in Brazil.
Yeah, I'm very proud of my grandparents' story. My grandfather fleeing Ukraine, fleeing Stalin's persecution, going to Belgium, finding refuge there, marrying my grandmother, then fleeing Hitler, going to Brazil. That's a story of perseverance. I'm so proud. I mean, I wish I could have met my grandfather. In another interview from earlier this year, he claimed they survived the Holocaust.
His mother died in 2016. Her Facebook posts included Catholic prayers and posts about the Virgin Mary. No posts indicating Jewish heritage.
Yeah, his maternal grandparents were both born in Brazil. And, his great-grandfather also lived in Brazil. While it is possible his maternal grandparents returned to Europe and then moved back to Brazil, there is no evidence to support this. And there is no evidence that the family were Jewish refugees fleeing Europe. And ties to Ukraine were only added to his campaign biography sometime between April and October of 2022. Well
after the internet was a thing.
Wow. Yeah, right after the Ukraine-Russian conflict began in February of 2022.
Ukraine? I too can say Ukraine.
He initially told Fox News that his ties to Ukraine were very vague. And said it would be disingenuous to claim his relatives were at risk, but he added that his family later changed their surname to survive. It's just very vague and faint. He said of his ties to the country, we don't carry the Ukrainian last name. For a lot of people who are descendants of World War II refugees or survivors of the Holocaust, a lot of names and paperwork were changed in the name of survival. Records do, of course, dispute this assertion. Oh my God.
You can't just say things.
The DeVolder surname has been used by his mother's family for generations, and the family has not changed it, according to family trees reviewed by the genealogists CNN spoke to. And yeah, Mommy posted Catholic prayers and posts about the Virgin Mary on Easter, and no posts about Jewish heritage.
And he was claiming it was from his mother's side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Wow.
He's a lying liar that lies while he's lying.
It'll be interesting to see how this all shapes up, but these chickens seem to be flying home to roost.
I'm telling you. He's 7 raccoons standing on each other's shoulders wearing a trench coat.
And you know he bought his first menorah.
I called it a family heirloom.
And called it an heirloom.
It came over on the Mayflower and shit.
Right, that. Or, wait. Different boat.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, it's this person fabricated everything that they, like, I don't care if you were elected, like, how does this person actually, see, the problem is the Republicans don't give a shit. The Democrats would actually remove this person. They would insist that they resign or, whatever. But Republicans have no such morality anymore. Like, they don't.
Yeah, so he told 12 or 17 lies in a row. What's the big deal?
Yeah, so we don't know where he is. We don't know that he was ever educated. We don't know. Right. And he's claiming Pulse victims as well as Holocaust survivors in the fabrications of his life. And we want this person in Congress?
That's the part that, disgusts me the most.
As a society, we like, this is okay.
Like, you can make up lies about yourself all you want to, but don't be dragging.
Oh, and I've met this faggot. Not this faggot, but this faggot.
I was going to say. Yeah, we both have.
Yeah. And, it's like, oh, honey, they broke you. And we will never fix you. And I'm sorry. But, yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah. And I believe they also found out he's divorced, which really has nothing to do with anything. But, yeah, there's just so much to this story. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to find out he's not gay. That wouldn't surprise me.
That's what
Nothing would surprise me in this. But
that's what I was thinking.
You don't even know who to pander to.
Right.
You're just all over the place.
Next thing you know, he's going to be black.
Right.
He's going to be a black woman.
He is.
Who founded the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
Because, Google's not a thing. We can just say whatever we want. Nobody will ever find out.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing. This is New York, though, right? It's
yeah.
New York. Yeah, it's. I mean, he was one of those folks that eked by in like upstate New York. May he be held accountable and before he's sworn in. I hope. So, in an update today, Santos admits lying to voters about some parts of his resume. And some stuff he just didn't address at all. Quote, my sins here are embellishing my resume.
Lying.
I'm sorry. I am not a criminal. This will not deter me from having good legislative success. I will be effective. I will be good.
Trust me.
Jesus Christ. He admits he never graduated from Baruch College. Quote, I didn't graduate from any institution of higher learning. I'm embarrassed and sorry for having embellished my resume.
Lied.
I own up to that. We do stupid things in life.
Uh-huh.
He admitted he never worked for Citigroup and Goldman Sachs.
Damn.
He claims that while working as a vice president for a company called Linkbridge, he helped make capital introductions between clients and investors who were at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. I will be clearer about that.
I was in a room with people.
It was stated poorly. Indeed, his campaign website had poorly stated that he began working at Citigroup as an associate and quickly worked up to become an associate asset manager in the real asset division of the firm. Linkbridge didn't respond to media requests for clarification, so he probably never worked there either.
That's a hell of a typo.
He admitted also he was indeed married to a woman from 2012 until they divorced in 2017. He had told USA Today in October that he had never had an issue with my sexual identity in the past decade.
Whatever that means.
He didn't mention his ex-wife ever during his 2 election bids. I'm very much gay, he said on Monday. I'm okay with my sexuality. People change. I'm one of those people who change.
From what to what?
My story every fucking moment of the day. I'm one of those people who change. We are testing my limits of self-identification. Somebody needs to make that man suck a dick here and now on like just do it now.
All right, on
drop,
Facebook Live.
Drop and swallow.
Drop and swallow.
Because I don't believe you.
I know.
The Daily Beast, by the way, failed to find a marriage record for Santos to the man he currently refers to as his husband.
I mean, you know.
Apparently, he also doesn't reside at the Queens, New York address in his district where he was registered to vote. Motherfucker doesn't even live where he said he lives.
He's 7 raccoons stacked on top of each other wearing a trench coat, I'm telling you.
He also admitted to lying when he claimed he owned 13 different properties, saying he now resides at his sister's place in Huntington, which, if memory serves, is in Long Island, not Queens, but is looking to purchase his own place. If he doesn't live in the district, like...
Isn't that one of the major rules?
I believe that should automatically disqualify him.
Right.
Oh, look, he also threw his own dead grandmother under the bus. Because the claim that his grandparents escaped the Nazi Holocaust, of course, genealogical records doubt that claim, saying that they were from and resided in Brazil.
Right.
He said, the claim came from her.
And since she's dead, she can't refute it.
Even though he had previously identified as a non-observant Jew in the past, he now says that he never claimed he was Jewish. Rather, Jewish. Noting that his grandmother told him that she converted from Judaism to Catholicism.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we can't ask her. He also explained his claim that 4 of his employees died in the 2016 Pulse nightclub shooting. Since the New York Times found that none of the shooting's 49 victims were in any way associated with any of his businesses, he now said that at the time of their deaths, the 4 employees were in the process of being hired for his company.
What I had meant to say was...
Which, by the way, he didn't name.
Wow.
When they died in the shooting.
Jesus.
Yeah, there is no additional information there. No records seem to back up the claim that his mother escaped the South Tower of the World Trade Center.
The fuck out of here.
September 11th, 2001.
And she was at Woodstock, and she threw the second brick at Stonewall.
There continue to be no records to show that he founded a charity called Friends of Pets.
She was on the grassy knoll.
And yeah, also no records that he attended NYU, which is also his claim.
She was the sixth Beatle.
Democrats like Nancy Pelosi and upcoming House Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York have said that Santos isn't fit to serve in Congress and should resign. I could not agree more. Joaquin Castro of Texas said if he refuses, Congress should expel him. He should also be investigated by authorities. Just about every aspect of his life appears to be a lie.
Wow.
George Santos admits his life story is a complete fabrication, said Richie Torres, also a Democrat of New York. His pitiful confession should not distract us from concerns about possible criminality and corruption. Of course, he has refused. And of course, Republican Congress members have stayed silent about the falsehoods. They have no spine left. They have no real morality. They have no real conscience. And they stand for nothing. Welcome to the Republican Party.
Wow.
Yeah.
Supporters of lying liars who lie while they're lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
At any rate, New York State Attorney General Tish James is reportedly looking into whether Santos broke any laws.
She put the ram in the Ramalama Ding Dong.
His past claims. Thank God the state attorney general is involved because we cannot count on Republicans, congressional, senatorial, or otherwise, to have any kind of moral compass whatsoever.
My God, it's insane.
Yeah, until he drops and sucks a dick, he ain't gay either.
Exactly.
Anyway, all that, yeah, it's all coming home to you. And gay and MAGA don't belong in the same sentence.
No, they don't.
So, sorry about your Christmas, honey. Or your Hanukkah. I'm not sure.
Right.
So
he's going to be celebrating Kwanzaa probably.
Yeah, so this was just kind of fun because there was an article in LGBTQ Nation, and I likes to stir a little shit whenever I can. I just want to point out that Tchaikovsky was a flaming homosexual.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. Just as we enjoyed the Nutcracker this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to... there was a story in LGBTQ Nation that, kind of just, for Christmas, talked about Tchaikovsky's history, his musical genius, of course, and the way that, from the point of his death, the story was covered up and whitewashed.
Oh, yeah.
They said he died of cholera. There was absolutely no evidence of that. Apparently he took poison or was poisoned. Yeah, but this is what we mean when we talk about the way our history has been erased.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we mean when we say, there's so much evidence, including his own papers. And that's where a lot of this comes from. That we finally have access to his own written word. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how could Tchaikovsky not have been gay? I mean, the story of the Nutcracker.
I know.
Your house has mice and you make them dance.
I know, right? Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the biography that previously circulated just, magnified the fact that he had been married, etc. And some of the details carefully sanitized from his life story include he was married once, but it was never consummated, and he literally fled his ill-advised marriage of 3 months to a music student. He loved drag, going so far as to dance a gay, say that to me, pas de deux,
Yes. Very good.
on the stage of the conservatory where he taught, and had homosexual relationships with dozens of men throughout his life, including a polycule with a pair of teenaged brothers hired to work in his home.
Oh, my.
We know this and much more because Tchaikovsky wrote plainly about all of it for decades. We simply didn't know it widely until a century after his death, when his full history escaped state censors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's something I already knew, but it's good that it's like common
Yeah, I just
knowledge
wanted to
now.
bring it up for Christmas.
Yeah, I love it.
For all of y'all who didn't know. Yeah, where your culture really comes from.
Exactly.
Just wanted to point that out. Seeing all the pictures of the little kids dancing in the respective performances of the Nutcracker. Tchaikovsky was a queer.
It's true.
You're welcome.
It's very
Yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. And by the way, just for a little more fun, just in the spirit of pissing on things people think they know, the internet is just finding out that "Fly Me to the Moon," made
talk
famous
to me about this.
by Frank Sinatra, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually a queer love song.
Really?
Yeah, queer love song. The song's composer and writer, Bart Howard, had a male partner, officially making it an ode for the gays.
Huh.
Howard and his partner, Thomas Fowler, were together for 58 years, up until the former's death in 2004. The iconic 1954 jazz number was almost certainly written about their relationship. Yeah.
And I'm thinking about all the movies I've seen where like mobsters or just your typical cishet white guys are singing this song, usually with their arm around their friend and they're all drunken.
Oh, yeah.
And this is probably 5 minutes after they said the word faggot like 15 times. Poetic justice. It's funny, I'm sipping tea out of my White Tears mug that just reached a new level of poeticness.
Yeah, the pair are now buried together in Texas. So, yeah, know your history.
I love that. I did not know that.
I know, right? If it's fun and catchy, we probably did it.
I know that's right.
Mm-hmm.
If it's on the 2 and 4, not the 1 and 3, that's probably us.
Probably. Speaking of fun and catchy, do you have a 15-minute fave you'd like to share?
I do. Mostly because this song has been randomly in my head lately.
That's usually how this works.
Well, that is usually how this works. It's a very, very classic house tune that calls to mind being out way past my curfew out in the Nile, voguing in the neighborhood.
A lifetime ago.
I know.
You were asleep around 10:15 last night. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, is that where that came from?
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, because this would have been about 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm voguing in the Nile to this song.
That was then. So what is the song that will take us out to the break?
Bitch. Brighter Days by Cashmere.
All right, let's listen to it and we'll be right back.
What do you get when you combine voice actors, playwrights, and a podcast? Well, you get an ever-growing collection of audio theatre full of original works of every genre. You get Bluebird Broadcast. Hi, I'm the host, creator, and producer of Bluebird Broadcast, Milena Karpukhina. Adults need story time too. And with bite-sized radio plays, immerse yourself in a story worth listening to. Whether it be about two men exploring the Alaskan wilderness, a world in which the government imposes arranged marriage for all, or a woman justifying being coerced into murder, you'll find the story for you. Listen to Bluebird Broadcast today, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Well, that was fun. We're back.
We're back. Now, that's what you call some queer history right there.
Honey, we are queer history.
It's true.
And if you pulled anything while you were voguing in the living room just now, that does not exempt you from getting up on the ladder and scraping my kitchen ceiling.
I mean, I rarely injure myself dancing. It's when I'm like sitting still and thinking really hard that my back goes out.
That's true. Oh my. Well, we have a lot more to get to, so let's get to it. It is time for the cavalcade of nonsense.
It is. Womp womp.
So, this is fun. GOP Congress members who are so very concerned about grooming voted against a child sex abuse bill.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. 28 Republicans that have been, many of them, using grooming to score political points, weren't willing to vote for a real bill to fight child sex abuse.
The fuck?
Yeah, this was published Thursday in LGBTQ Nation. Numerous Republican Congress members who have accused LGBTQ plus people of sexualizing children just voted against a bill that would help the actual victims of child sex abuse. The bill, entitled Respect for Child Survivors Act, was developed with input from child welfare groups to address the mistreatment that child witnesses sometimes face during investigations of their own abuse. The bill requires the FBI to form multidisciplinary teams to investigate child sex abuse cases in a way that ensures accountability and transparency without re-traumatizing victims and their families. The teams would include investigative personnel, mental health professionals, medical personnel, family advocacy workers, child advocacy workers, and prosecutors, according to Newsweek. The bipartisan bill, introduced by characters like John Cornyn, Texas, Lindsey Graham, Chris Coons, and Amy Klobuchar, passed the House with 215 Democrats and 170 Republican votes. It takes tremendous courage for young victims of sexual assault to tell their story and overcome the fear that they may not be taken seriously, may be ignored, or may be wrongfully blamed, said Cornyn. To avoid re-traumatizing victims during the investigation process, it's imperative we give these individuals the support they need to ensure survivors feel respected during the interview process and abusers are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Hear, hear.
Right.
28 Republicans voted against the bill.
The fuck?
Including such favorites as Lauren Boebert, who squeaked back into Colorado.
Boo.
That green woman in Georgia, Louis Gohmert, of course, Paul Gosar of Arizona, and Rick Crawford. All of these Republicans have opposed the expansion of LGBTQ plus civil rights. Many have accused our community of sexualizing or grooming kids.
But yet,
grooming, I will remind you all, is a term for attempting to sexually abuse children. Conservatives have used it to describe any mention of queer identities in front of children as a way of associating pedophilia with queer people, hearkening back to that tired, old, disproven negative stereotype.
that part, yeah.
Just in June, Boebert accused queer inclusive teachers of grooming kids with educational flashcards showing a pregnant man on one of the cards. In November, Green called a gay Californian state senator, Scott Wiener, a communist groomer.
No, Jesus.
For calling groomer an anti-LGBTQ hate word, which they have turned it into. Yeah. While they're working to ban gender-affirming healthcare for trans minors at the federal level, which they compare to pedophilia, voted against this.
So, I think a small part of my brain just shriveled up, died, and fell off.
Back in October, Goober co-sponsored a bill called the Stop the Sexualization of Children Act, which would ban any entity that receives federal money from talking about sexual orientation or gender identity to children under the age of 10.
But yet.
To go beyond Don't Say Gay. Gosar suggested an amendment to bar trans people from using public restrooms. Of course, the ones that align with our gender identity. Yeah, they say those kinds of bills are necessary to prevent trans people from attacking women and children in public toilets. Something
which doesn't happen.
Thing that
does not happen
and rarely occurs at all. But yeah. These politicians who have spent the year making so much noise about LGBTQ plus people supposedly grooming children never speak against widespread child sex abuse in the Christian church.
Ding.
Nor do they partner with organizations that actually oppose such abuse or child sex trafficking. And they weren't willing to even vote for a bill to address child sex abuse that got broad bipartisan support.
And I want to know why. I want to know what were the reasons behind voting against it. Like, that makes no goddamn sense. Not that anything they do makes sense, but...
Exactly.
Wow.
Y is a crooked letter. My father used to say that. Because they didn't like all my questions, but still. So there is no logical... Stop applying logic to Republicans, because you can't anymore.
Yeah, my bad.
You just can't. There was a time when you could, but you can't anymore.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
Done. Yeah, protesters stormed a gay New York City Council member's apartment building.
Yeah, this was insanity.
Yeah. Eric Botchter tweeted that people calling themselves gays against groomers had vandalized the walls in front of his office.
Which I don't believe are people that exist. I think that's some bullshit.
Yeah, I saw them. I mean,
gays against groomers. I don't.
Yeah, there was a queer. There's a library in Chelsea that I believe caters to autistic children, and there was a book reading or whatever, and they were ugly outside and But yeah, two of them broke into his apartment. He represents the city's District 3, which includes Greenwich Village, Chelsea, Hell's Kitchen, Hudson Square, right. Flatiron, Times Square, the Theater District, and the Garment District. Of course he's gay. Right. Tweeted that several people showed up to his office and defaced it. Today, people who call themselves gays against groomers vandalized the hallway outside our district office. We will not be cowed. We will not be silenced. We will continue to stand up against hate. Later, he said that the protesters showed up at his apartment building, and police arrested a couple of them. Tonight, the Drag Story Hour protesters came to my apartment building and gained entry. My super called the cops up. Maybe they didn't get into his apartment. My super called the cops, and two of them were arrested for trespassing. And he added he will not be deterred. This is pure hate, unmasked. If they think this is going to intimidate us, they're mistaken. Our resolve is strengthened. The vandalism comes a couple days after protesters attempted to shut down a Drag Story Hour at a branch of the New York City Public Library. counter-protesters were present to demonstrate against them.
Right.
Bosher did attend the story time and spoke with he tried to talk to the protesters. But he posted a video. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm reading out of The Advocate, and we'll see if there's more follow up to this. But
yeah, we both saw that video, and it was just, these people think they're better than someone, and they're out there cursing and using all this horrible language and being generally ridiculous
and frightening these kids,
right?
Scaring the shit out of the children that are just there for a happy event.
But they have this feeling of superiority over someone.
Yeah, don't you wonder how many of them have like Mrs. Doubtfire on DVD?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's insane. But back to this gays against groomers thing. This feels very much like...
Yeah, it does. It feels like one of the things they make up.
Yeah. It's like...
Yeah, one of the groups that exist specifically to cause chaos and mayhem are not for anything like, I don't know, the LGBT Alliance.
Right. Well, because one of the
another
women,
hate group.
One of the women in the video was saying something like transgenders against groomers, and it's like, and I don't think she was trans.
I don't think so either.
It's like, I just think these people don't know what fucking words mean.
Well, they know. No, they don't.
And they just put them in strings together and shout them.
Right. Yeah. It's also very Orwellian. Truly it is. I saw the group. It's like, those aren't queers.
Yeah, no. Because with that outfit and that hair, honey.
Yeah.
You don't have a gay friend in the world.
No.
Not a one.
You do not.
Ew.
Yeah, so that ugliness happened.
Yeah, it did.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of ugliness, this made me sad. But, so the police in Atlanta held an active shooter drill at an LGBTQ nightclub in the wake of the mass shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs. Some LGBTQ nightclubs in other cities are preparing for what to do if they face such a situation. For instance, the Atlanta Police Department and the Mayor's Division of LGBTQ Affairs held an active shooter and, quote, stop the bleed training at Future, a club in the city. It took place Monday, which was the 1 month anniversary of the Club Q tragedy, in which, of course, we know 5 people were killed and more than 20 were injured. Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shearbaum said, the thought that we would even have to offer this training is concerning, but we want to be prepared. There have been threats against queer spaces in Atlanta. Just days after the Club Q shooting, a man was arrested for making terroristic threats on 2 bars in the city, Heretic and Felix's. Chase Staub was taken into custody over Thanksgiving. The community reached out to us, said the police chief, Shearbaum, and said, we are concerned. We believe something is here that could be a threat. He said, if people are in the presence of a shooter, they have a few options. These include evacuating if possible, putting up a barricade, and even confronting the shooter, the latter of which proved effective at Club Q. At the Atlanta event, workers from Grady Memorial Hospital showed attendees how to take care of wounded people. Among other things, they offered tourniquet demonstrations. Grady is the region's only level 1 trauma center, meaning it is capable of providing total care for every aspect of injury from prevention through rehabilitation, according to the American Trauma Society. It's chilling.
Yeah, but training like this does save lives.
Well, yes, training like this does save lives. It's not a bad tool to have in your toolbox. It's disturbing that we have to even think about these things in our queer spaces, but I do appreciate the fact that there is this direct support from the city's police force and government resources.
Lest we forget, Atlanta is surrounded by Georgia.
Correct.
And in similar fashion, Philadelphia is surrounded by
Pennsylvania,
but it's a drive. But still, Yeah. Forewarned is forearmed. And, you know, personally, I think that there are appropriate times to partner, you know, with the police, and be prepared for this kind of thing to save lives.
Right.
And, you know, I know at least during my stint on the LGBTQ liaison committee with the Philadelphia Police Commissioner's Office, you know, this is the kind of thing we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, and they did so much work that the general public just never knew about. You know,
I didn't know about.
Right, the bomb sweeps that used to happen in the early morning hours before Outfest,
right,
and Pride. You know, like nobody knew that was all happening, but it was.
But
it was
not really supposed to know.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the kind of thing I love. That, like, it, of course, it's scary that has to be a thing, but I love that is a thing, and it's.
Yeah.
You know, hosting queer events, public facing queer events. These are things you have to think about, unfortunately, in this day and age.
Well, exactly. Exactly. And it's getting less safe to do so. But the importance of us gathering and being visible is amplified right now. So, yeah, anywhere that, you know, the police force in a city is willing to educate themselves and help to educate us, unfortunately, it's a sign of the times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, luckily /
nonsense
sadly,
that it's even necessary.
Right.
But, you know, I would rather folks receive a little training and know what to do, and that more of us survive, because, you know,
luckily / sadly, you know, we as a community historically will bond over, you know, trauma and threats. So, well, we have that at least.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes big wake-up calls for us to put aside our differences and realize how much we have in common.
Right.
Sadly, but yeah. I don't want our community to stop celebrating my God.
Right.
We need to dance.
Exactly.
But as always, our joy brings them pains.
Because they have none of their own.
That's my thinking.
If they can't join it, they're going to try and stop it.
Yeah.
But no one said you can't join it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
So this next story.
This just makes me sick. You read it.
And so if you've ever listened to a podcast that is not this one, and it will now never be this one, you've heard ads for
BetterHelp.
Yeah, the online mental health therapy app.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out that a man says that BetterHelp referred him to a conversion therapy supporter.
Wow.
A gay man in Tennessee said a therapist for one of the nation's largest digital mental health companies recommended conversion therapy to help cure his depression and isolation from his family. This is according to The Advocate.
Yeah, that's what works.
Caleb Hill told the Wall Street Journal he had been kicked out of his home after telling his conservative Christian family he was gay. As a practicing Christian, Hill had been taught same-sex sexual relations were a grave sin, and he struggled to reconcile his faith with his sexual identity. Over time, he became depressed and felt alone, and he heard advertisements on various podcasts, because they are everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
For BetterHelp, which offered faith-based and LGBTQ affirming counseling. And
those two things are never, ever in the same sentence.
Right. And he decided to try its services. Hill, then 22, said he requested an LGBTQ plus therapist because that is supposed to be an option, but instead was assigned a Christian therapist who did not specialize in LGBTQ plus issues. Hill said he told the therapist, Jeffrey Lambert.
Good, we're naming the person.
He wanted to improve his relationship with his family. Rather than providing the type of supportive counseling he sought, Hill said Lambert recommended what he considered a form of conversion therapy. He said, either you sacrifice your family or you sacrifice being gay. I needed
Yeah, well, you can do one, you can't do the other.
Exactly. He said, I needed someone to tell me I was gay, and that was okay. I got the exact opposite. Hill said Lambert specifically asked if Hill had engaged in sexual acts with the man and said the therapist seemed pleased when he replied he had never been physically intimate with a man. He said, good.
Why am I thinking the therapist was ready to jerk off if he said he had been?
Uh-huh.
Share the details with me, my son.
That.
Unburden your soul.
Yeah, that.
I'm sorry, keep going.
Uh-huh. He said if I did want to go back to my family, I should think hard about being physical with the man because it would be a lot harder after that.
Is it because the dick is so tempting or because, then he's spoiled? Like, I'm trying to get where we're going with that statement. BetterHelp does not actually provide treatment using in-house staff, but instead refers patients to independently contracted therapists around the country who are paid an hourly rate for their services. These therapists then conduct counseling sessions with patients via video or audio conferencing. The company has come under fire recently for its alleged poor and unprofessional services. Dozens of former patients posted their experiences to TikTok with the hashtag BetterHelp therapy is a scam.
And it ain't cheap.
With over 2 million viewers to date. BetterHelp told Wall Street Journal it had nearly 30,000 therapists nationwide and has served more than 3 million patients to date. They do not accept insurance, instead providing patients with once-weekly counseling sessions and messaging per month for between $240 to $360.
Yeah.
The business model appears widely profitable, as BetterHelp said it has about $1 billion in annual revenue. They, of course, declined comment regarding Hill's experiences, citing patient confidentiality. It said the company does not condone conversion therapy. If we do get information that a therapist conducts conversion therapy or similar practices, they would be removed from the platform. Well, here's your information.
Exactly. You got the Wall Street Journal, you got the Advocate, and you've got Full Circle, the podcast, telling this story.
Yeah, he also said the experience helped him embrace his sexual identity. He detailed his dissatisfaction with the treatment he received from BetterHelp in a final note he sent to the company. Quote, I finally opened the door of the prison I built up inside, and the thought of going back kills me, he wrote in the note viewed by the Wall Street Journal. The Advocate reached out to BetterHelp with questions about Hill and conversion therapy, but had yet to receive a statement at the time the article went live. There seemed to be no updates since then.
Well,
Son of a mother,
I took it upon myself after reading this to find what comparable therapy models there are that are affirming to LGBTQ plus people.
Yes, please.
And I came across Pride Counseling.
Okay.
They are similar in that they are online. You can speak with your therapist via video or text messaging. There are licensed therapists, but all of them specialize in the LGBTQ plus community.
Good. And we'll post that in the link in our notes.
Yes, we will.
Excellent.
Because I couldn't just leave this story sitting there without finding a proper alternative.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, so many of us either wind up going through this nonsense ourselves, or, when we try to come out to our family turn to the church, and we have to wade through the bullshit, misinformation, and outright lying that quote unquote counselors that are church provided peddle in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just makes it harder and uglier.
Yeah.
So yeah, please, we will post the link to Pride Counseling. I'm sorry that happened, but it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here are your choices. It's a hard message. It's a hard message. And I can't tell you how many times I had this fucking conversation this week about, sometimes you do have to step away. Sometimes you do. How much misgendering are you going to endure? How much, tone it down for the family, or can your soul take?
Right.
And how valuable are those gatherings anyway? In truth.
Right.
Like, here's a little bit of pull up your pants. Your family, if they can't, if they don't want to try to love you, or the religious beliefs that they cling to are more important and more valuable to them than you as a human, unfortunately, you need to step away.
Right.
It may not be forever, but it may be. It may be. I mean, I live a similar situation. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But, this is an inside game, and all of queerness is an inside game. We know who we are.
Yeah.
And it, of course, is specifically relevant to my trans family. When you have family members arguing that you don't know yourself, arguing that you are capricious and you're going through a phase, insisting that they dead name you or misgender you with impunity.
Yep.
To not, ruffle their holiday gatherings. What the hell are we doing? The hell are we doing? Stay home.
Right.
Stay Netflix and chill, babies. Seriously.
Nobody's mac and cheese is that fucking good.
No, it's not. And we had delicious mac and cheese, by the way, on Christmas Day with people who love us.
Right.
And whom we love. And, we had our family gathering just without the family who don't approve.
Right.
And, when I tell you I could not care less about whether you approve of me.
Right.
And when I tell you that your approval no longer holds any power in my life, I mean it.
To quote the immortal bard Noxzema Jackson in the movie To Wong Fu, approval neither desired nor required.
Neither desired nor required. Yeah. But this is how, and they don't care about ethics, which is why, a therapist who would do this would sign up and would misrepresent themselves in this twisted version of, I just have to get the message out. Your message has failed 100% of the time throughout recorded history.
Right.
You're the problem, not us. Not the queer people, not the trans people. We are not the problem here, folks. You are with this outdated, backward horse shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on.
Yep. So this is an update?
Yeah. So, we told the story before of the library in Michigan. The folks vote Patmos Library in Jamestown Township, Michigan. They voted at the primaries to defund. They affirmed that in November. The town folk. I assume they voted with pitchfork and torch in hand.
Right.
The librarian, who has been under attack by these conservative protesters all year, reached what she called her breaking point at a library board meeting earlier this week, delivering a fiery speech rebuking the Christian conservatives angry about the few LGBTQ books.
I believe the term would be she read them for filth and points.
Right, in the library's collection. And the library has been closing early. Books like Spinning and Kiss Number 8... that have teen girl characters discussing their feelings for other girls, books like that. The library has about 90 books in total out of a 67,000 book collection. And these rabid freaks are losing their minds.
Yep.
Repeatedly. The library agreed to keep the most controversial book, Genderqueer, behind the main desk, so people would have to ask a librarian to read it. But that wasn't enough.
Right.
And so this has continued. This is a quote from one of a flyer from Jamestown Conservative this summer. Pray that we can make changes and make the Patmos Library a safe and neutral place for our children. Your fucking version of neutrality is white and cis and het. That ain't neutral.
Nope.
You want humanity to be neutral by your definition, or you will hold your breath and exert your power. 2 library directors resigned as a result of the hateful messages they received from conservative residents. The library's funding was on the ballot in August and again in November, and voters rejected the tax used to pay for the library. Yeah, so they're defunding their library. That's safe.
Yeah. Safe, smart.
At this past Monday's board meeting, people discussed the early closures. Last week, the library closed earlier. I guess earlier than they normally do, citing staff safety.
Right.
And at the board meeting, people discussed the closure. One person suggested the library board was fear-mongering and lying about threats against the library.
Bitch.
Another woman suggested that the library was closed early as a strategy intended to manipulate public opinion about a particular issue by arousing fear or alarm. Fucking what they're doing. This is 1984, folks. Look it up. Check it out at your library while you still can. One librarian had enough. Too. Why did we close last week? I'll tell you. We have a breaking point. This is a video clip that has gone viral. We have been threatened. We have been cursed. She said she's been working twice as many hours as she normally does because the library can't hire at the moment, likely due to the lack of stable funding. She then said that she feels she can't bring her grandchildren to the town because of the signs that people put up calling librarians pedophiles. They can read, she said of her grandchildren. Well, hers can. I'm a pedophile? How dare you people? You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. We broke. Deal with it. We're human. I'm tired, and I'm tired of all of you. I moved to this town 2.5 years ago, and I've regretted it every day for the last year. This has been horrible. I didn't know people could be like this. I wasn't raised this way. I'm Catholic. I'm Christian. I'm everything you are. But I was taught to love your neighbors as you love yourself, she said. That's not what I hear every day. Not from you.
This is my favorite part. It was one threat too many, one accusation too many. And all we do is come in here and serve you day after day after day. You're welcome. And then she walked off. All she needed to do was drop the mic because like that was just perfect. Yo, this poor woman and...
Yeah, librarians are getting sick of this MAGA shit. Good.
Yeah, you could feel the pain and the what the fuck are you people doing in her statement when she was talking to these people. Just like, what are you even? What is this? To which I add, yeah, what I have never seen this level of just straight up crazy on such a regular basis.
I need a break.
We'll be right back.
Hi, and welcome to The Caption Life, a show for the most casual and dedicated fans of comics and a member of the Comic Watch family. I'm your host, Sean. Join me and discover what the world of comics and graphic novels have to offer. From one-on-one interviews with industry professionals, roundtable discussions with passionate fans, and reviews on the latest comics, TV shows, and movies. You can also check out our website, www.thecaptionlife.com, to find out where you can listen to us, a list of all of our episodes, and where you can find us on social media under the username @CaptionLife. You'll get a new episode from us every week, so hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.
We are back.
We're back.
While I'm inclined not to cleanse anyone's palate. Let's do this quickly. So Cher is sporting a diamond ring from A.E. Edwards. Alexandra Edwards, her 36-year-old. Cher is 76. Companion.
Mm-hmm.
Cher posted on Twitter a picture of him holding a very, very exquisite diamond ring.
Well,
on Christmas.
a Merry Christmas.
It looks like they engaged, and good for her.
I mean,
she ain't dumb. She wasn't born yesterday. I would assume she is having fun.
right?
And looks like he is too.
She ain't never fucked nobody her age or close.
Well, Sonny was older, wasn't he?
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, since him.
But that was then. Yeah, like
Right.
she was like 16 when he was 20 or something.
Right.
Something like that. Back when they were, Cleo and Caesar, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And that's not shade. I'm just saying. She's on brand.
Why should she?
I'm not saying she should be. I just noticed.
Fabulous women of a certain age are sometimes attractive to younger men.
I mean, case in point,
There you go.
the two of us.
Good answer.
Not that I would ever call you a certain age, because
Thank you. I'm timeless. And so is Cher,
see, there you
by
go.
the way. And good for her. She looks happy.
Yeah, she does.
And she's basically said haters gonna hate.
Yeah, people have been talking shit about Cher for all this time.
Yeah. You know what? She's not listening.
Well, that's the thing. And, I took this to heart. I forget who said it, but I take it to heart. The haters are going to be talking shit about you anyway. Why not give them something to talk about?
Yeah, nobody would bat an eye, by the way, if so he's like vice president of A&R at Def Jam, like
Right.
Rihanna's label. He's not, a joke of a human being, and he's not, without his own means.
Correct.
They dwarf in comparison, clearly, but
Right.
still, this is not somebody who's nobody.
Right.
But if the situation were reversed,
Uh-huh.
and some, I don't know, 36-year-old starlet
Mm-hmm.
or whatever was involved with a 76-year-old man, people would be like, hey.
Right. But it's somehow
Hey.
different when it's a woman.
Not for me. Hey.
Right.
Cher, get it.
I ain't mad.
What's the Sophie Tucker joke that probably Bruce Valanche wrote? My boyfriend Ernie told me he was going to trade me in. When I'm 60, Soph, I'm going to trade you in for 3 20-year-olds. And she said, well, Ernie, when you're 60, I'm going to trade you in for 3 20-year-olds. And let me tell you something. 20 goes into 60 a hell of a lot more times than 60 goes into 20. It's a math joke.
Sure it is.
I'm sorry. Good for Cher.
I ain't mad. Go
Good
ahead,
for her.
girl.
She looks happy.
Yeah.
Let her be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I love it.
Have fun. Moving on.
So
This is I don't know if this is funny or sad.
So Todrick Hall, the problematic little Todrick Hall, apparently has set up his Instagram so that you could subscribe for $5 and see nudes that he has. And he says his DMs have been on fire.
So we're calling this back pay per view.
Right, because
He has a troubled history of paying his employees.
back pay-per-view. Right. Well, because that was my thing. It's like, why
How
do you?
bad is it?
How bad is it? You need $5 a month, and you need to show your ass to get $5 a month. Because where's all your money going? You're not
Baby, you're so talented.
giving it up
but-
to your dancers and shit. So
Yeah, never accused of wasting money on The people who work with him.
Exactly. And that was
So,
I mean, apparently
if you'd like to see nudes of Todrick Hall, apparently it costs you $5 a month on Instagram. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. I mean, apparently a landlord is suing him for $60,000 in unpaid rent, so that makes a little more sense. He ain't paid nobody.
She messy.
Exactly.
Good God. And a person with stellar talent.
That's the thing that makes me so sad.
Stellar talent.
You know, but between being stingy and being a generally not nice person, from what I understand, and having a streak of anti-blackness,
we are a messy people.
Yeah. Back pay-per-view. That is good.
Thanks.
That is good.
Thanks.
So we watched a few things. Some things all the way through. Some things not so much.
Well, I saw all of my Christmas movies, right? All of them? I think now all of them.
We did.
The only thing I didn't see this year was Home for the Holidays, which is technically my Thanksgiving movie.
Right.
But I saw Love Actually.
Yes.
And I saw The Family Stone.
Several times.
And
It's a Wonderful Life.
And This Christmas.
And This Christmas, yes.
Yeah, so.
But we watched a new one that is currently on HBO called A Hollywood Christmas.
Yeah, we did.
And it was fun. It was a bit meta.
Yeah, it was all meta and stuff.
Because it was about a woman who directs Christmas movies and how she needed to use the formula of a Christmas movie to make her life like a Christmas movie. It was a whole thing.
In order to keep making Christmas movies.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was cute.
Don't tell me nobody's high during an elevator pitch. But this movie got made.
Right.
And it was cute.
It was cute.
It was cute.
Very diverse casting.
It was diverse casting.
I liked it.
Yeah. And, none of the Camerons were involved in the making of this film, so it's actually watchable.
Exactly.
Yay.
I watched the first episode of Kindred on Hulu. And
I don't know what this is.
So Kindred is based on a novel written by Octavia Butler, who was...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard about those.
Yeah, she was, I want to say, the first Black woman to be revered in the realm of science fiction.
That's why I don't know about this.
And so the story of Kindred is there's this Black woman. The book takes place in the 70s. So this modern Black woman named Dana, she keeps getting snatched back in time to a plantation in Maryland. And she keeps coming across this little white boy in danger, and she keeps saving him. And every time she saves him, she gets taken back to the present time. And so the whole thing keeps going, and we find out, who this white boy is in relation to her and why she has to keep saving him. And it's really deep and it's really interesting. I recommend reading the book. It's a good book. Now, I was very excited when I heard that they were making a series about this book because, A, it means the estate of Octavia Butler is getting some money, which I'm always here for, and I was intrigued by the story. So I watched the first episode, and they changed a couple of key story elements to the point where I no longer knew what was going to happen next. And that's what made me decide I didn't want to keep watching it because, when you're going to watch Kindred, you make peace with the fact that you're going to be exposing yourself to the trauma of the depictions of violence and slavery.
Mm-hmm.
But because I read the book, I knew what the stakes were. So, I knew how it ended. But now I didn't. So I decided I wasn't in the mood to open myself up to the adrenaline rush of the unknown combined with watching slaves be, tormented and whatnot. So I didn't watch past the first episode. I couldn't do it. Cause like they change things like in the book her mother was dead and had been. In the series, she finds her in the past on the plantation. So I'm like, the fuck? And then also in both cases, well, in the book, she is married to a white man. In the series, she just meets and starts dating this white man. And the reason why that is significant is because in the book, he ends up going back in time with her. But because they're married, there's a certain level of trust and protection there. And security there. So like he's advocating for her in the past in slavery times, and that's a thing. Whereas with this, she just met this dude. So like I know where that was going to go, and I was like, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to.
Okay, so this is a book recommendation.
Yes, I recommend reading the book.
Okay.
If you've seen the series, like if you're not familiar with the book and you've seen the series and you enjoy it, go for it.
Okay.
But
That's my advice to share.
Right. Go and we started to watch the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then we had to stop because you were hating it.
I did not make you stop.
No, you did not make me stop, but you were so actively hating it that I'm like, well, I can't sit here and enjoy this properly if you're sitting over there.
I may have audibly sighed.
Once or 12 times, yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
It's not, I can tell, it's just not my movie.
I was digging it, and I am going to go back and finish it.
Please do.
Yeah. Was it the over stylization?
Oh, it was so many things.
Was it the multiverse thing, which I know gets on your nerves?
The multiverse thing, the over stylization, the cacophony of it all. This all, yeah.
Which are all things that made me enjoy it.
Fine.
Yeah.
Have at it. It's me. It's just me. Like, no.
Well, I'm going to finish watching it.
I tried.
You tried to try.
Okay, I tried to try. I've learned to keep my mouth shut. My face doesn't hear me. And sometimes I breathe loudly. I'm sorry.
Right. Every 5 minutes over here.
I'm sure.
And I'm like, all right, fine. Let me turn this off.
Well, and I didn't ask you to.
No, you didn't.
I was going to persevere. It came with like, you have to watch this and yada yada. So I was like, okay, well, how bad can it be? Not my thing. Not my thing.
I'll probably finish watching it like at some point tonight.
Okay. If you can stay up.
Fuck you.
10:15 last night. You didn't even make 11 o'clock.
Well, because I was up on a ladder.
For an hour.
Shut the fuck up.
For an hour. I'm just saying. I mean, whatever. But I'm sure you'll have opportunity.
Yes.
And good. And you can come back and tell everyone about it.
Yes.
And, still, if anyone wants to watch television with Charles, please do email us at askfullcircle@gmail.com. I'm sorry you haven't had takers, but you might. You might.
Is it fun being this hateful?
Hateful. There's a word. Is it fun being me? Yes, it is. Now you have to go work on my ceiling.
We'll see.
Nope. Well, that's my Christmas present.
I know.
We'll see. You're right. We'll see.
You better be glad I love you.
I have a microphone. I'm always glad you love me, and I love you.
Well, thank you.
And on that note, I am Martha Madrigal.
And I'm Charles Tyson Jr.
And you have been listening to Full Circle,
the podcast.
Oh, God. We're not going to do this again until next year.
Oh, that's right. So we'll see you in 2023, y'all.
We will. Folks, please stay safe and stay well and take care of one another. And
we love you.
We love you. And, my DMs are always open. They always are. I need you to stick around. And we're going to get through the new year just like most of us got through Christmas.
Yeah.
Together. Until next time.
Bye, everyone. Full Circle is a Never Scared Productions podcast, hosted by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal, produced and edited by Never Scared, executive produced by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal. Our theme and music is by the Jingleberries. All names, pictures, audio, and video clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holders.